Hello and welcome to Knowledge by Nature. In today's video, I want to give you a flip through on a curriculum that we will be using for our 4th grade year of homeschool. So if this is something that you're interested in, be sure and stick around. All right, welcome back. If this is your first time here, I am a homeschool mom to a 4th grader. We love all things books, homeschool, and sharing our journey with you. And if that is something that you're interested in, I would love if you consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you enjoy this video, give me a thumbs up. All right, so in the past, I have pieced geography together. I've pulled from different workbooks, I've pulled from different sources. It can definitely be done without buying a curriculum. So just know that geography can be done without much expense. To be honest, I found some free things out there. So I'll put a link right here of what I've done in the past. But this year I decided to go a little bit different in the direction of our geography. I have had my eye on Notgrass material in the past, but this is the first time I've ever had any. So I purchased this because I feel like it's just going to be a good fit for what we're doing. One, we're doing American history this year. It just made sense that if I was going to be doing American history, now was maybe the time to spend some money on a geography curriculum. I also wanted something that wouldn't take a whole lot of my time as far as creating the ideas, pulling all these sources from everywhere. This looks to already have that. So again, I haven't used it yet, but this is just going to give you a flip through in case you are interested in it. Now it comes with this really, really large textbook. I was surprised by the size of this thing. It's really large and it's really pretty. It has some very nice images. They're mostly all color, really nice. And now this is not a secular curriculum. So if you're looking for a secular curriculum, you're either going to have to omit some sections or go a different direction. So we have the textbook. Then I purchased the Atlas workbook. This is the Student Atlas workbook. It's color also, which I think is really neat. Then we have a lessons review, and it's just little worksheets, just a quick little review, and then the answer key and literature guide. The literature guide we'll talk about too once we get in here, but this is the set. Now the only thing different, I think there was one more step that you could get, and that would include all of the literature. So if you didn't want to have to hunt down the literature, you could have bought the set with the literature included. But you don't have to do the literature either. That's just an added bonus if you want to add that type to your date. So let's first dive into this big, massive textbook. So again, I was really just pretty surprised at how beefy this thing is. It's huge. Really nicely bound. I mean, it is a nice book. Really nice book. And look at that. I've already boogered the corner of it right there. Shame on me. I'm guessing that's me. I haven't really done anything. It's been sitting in this box. And just one quick rabbit trail here is I haven't started this yet because I'm not starting history until probably the middle of September. And so I will definitely do an update on this as we go, but I did want to get a flip through in case you are in the search for a geography curriculum. So we open up our textbook and we have this nice big colored map of the United States that are broken out in the colored regions, which is pretty cool for referencing back. And then we come to the section of table of contents where we're doing the introduction and then the different regions. So we have the New England region, Mid-Atlantic, South, Midwest, all of this, okay? All right, so how does this work? We have 26 units with 4 lessons in each unit. Okay, it says that the lessons are grouped by region. However, you don't have to do this in a particular order. So let's say you are making a trip to the Pacific and you wanted to do that section so that as you go, you would be like, oh, we studied that already. You can do that if you want to. It doesn't have to be in any certain order. It says the lessons stand alone and do not necessarily have to be completed in any particular order. So that's pretty cool that you can jump around, especially if you're going to make a trip, that you can like really pick out a few to work. Now, you can either read the lesson aloud as the teacher, or the students, depending on their ability, could read this alone, which is, again, that's kind of going into some of my mantra this year is I'm keeping things simple, and I'm also wanting to provide opportunities where she can do work independently. Now, that is not to say I'm going to give her this whole thing and have her do it. That's not my intention at all. In fact, my intention is to do this with her the entire time because I think it looks really, really cool. But it's nice to know that on days where I just don't have all the time to do every single lesson, this is something that she could take care of on her own. So in this curriculum, 2 lessons are about each state. And so we'll get to looking at that. And it says the first lesson introduces the students to special features about that state. Okay, and then the second lesson features a song that reflects the history or culture. And you can listen to the song while you enjoy the story or however you want to do it. The first lesson also includes a map of the state and some of the cities that are going to be talked about. Now, we also have activities that are going to be included in blue boxes, it tells us. And then we have our song selections, we have family activities, we have the Atlas workbook, and then we have the lesson review, which we already talked about a little bit. Said that if you're going to have your child do the creative writing, you might go ahead and get a notebook prepared for them before you actually start the program. And then we have the literature guide. These are all of the literature covers that you can see that are going to be included as a part of the curriculum. So they're not included in the curriculum, but there is literature that goes along with the lessons in this curriculum. And so these are the titles that you might be reading if you choose to do this. The next big question may be how much time it's going to spend. And for them, they say it takes about 15 minutes to do the lesson, another 15 minutes for your student to do their Atlas work. And then, if you do the activities or you do the literature, that of course is going to add on to the time. But you're looking at about 30 minutes. Now, it does say that you can either use it 4 days per week or spread the lessons and activities over all 5 days. So I don't really know how I'm going to do it yet, but once I get into it and kind of get an idea of how that would work, I don't know that I necessarily want to go through the whole curriculum in 1 year. It says you can do this in 1 year, but depending on how our history works, I might possibly slow this down just a little bit. So we will see. I like that they give a little sample walkthrough, which is really nice. And then over here, just a little bit more encouragement from the Notgrass family. So let's look at Unit 1, which is New England. And it says we're going to be looking at Maine and New Hampshire. Again, really pretty picture. Lesson 1, we're looking at the map, which it said that we would have there, pointing out some of the big cities in the area. We have this little introduction. We're talking about some of the flowers, some of the animals that we're going to see around the area, some trees, some big things about maybe some of the crops that are grown there. Then we come over here and we're looking at where maybe we've got some lobsters and an Acadia National Park and some of the big highlights. Now this is where we've come to the end of the lesson. So we have the activities. All these activities are just suggestions. Don't feel like you'd have to do all of them, and that's what it says in the front of the book. These are just here if you want to supplement, if you want to add to your geography. This is how you're going to do it. So one of the things that they could do is illustrate the geographic term for Maine in the Atlas workbook on page 4. Okay, well, let's just go over here to our Atlas, page 4. Here we go. So our geographic term for Maine is coast. So we're talking about the coast. We have a picture, and then we have a little colored section, which I don't know. Hopefully you can see it. It's very light so that the student could kind of add whatever they wanted to that. So this page right here would be for lesson 1 of the main section. Now up next, it says that if you are using the lesson review, answer the questions for Maine on page 1. So if you got the entire set, you would have this lesson review here. It says go to page 1. Let's look how much that would be. So lesson 1, right here. We've got 5 questions right here. Answer the questions for Maine, page 1, 5 questions. So we have a few pages of reading, 1 page in the workbook, 5 questions in the lesson review if you're using all of those. Next, if you want to keep diving in, get a little bit deeper into your geography lesson, it says to read chapter 1 in Rabbit Hill. Now, in the answer key and literature guide, it says that there's comments on this book. Please refer to page 15. So it's really easy to find everything that you're looking for too. So let's go to page 15. What does it tell us? Well, here's the literature guide section. Page 15, Rabbit Hill, by the author, the year that it's wrote, and we have a little synopsis about it. There's also a few things that it said you may want to know about that are in this book. And that's really cool if you have a sensitive student or you have something that you just really don't want to discuss. You know that this is probably a book that is not for you. So you could decide, is this okay, is it not, by just doing a little quick thing right here. That's pretty cool also. They've done some legwork for you so you don't have to pre-read every single one of these. Again, completely optional. All of these things are. All right, the next hands-on activity says pretend to be statues. Who or what do your statues represent? So here you can see that we were talking about the Lady of Wisdom, the statue. That's where that idea is tying into. If this is something your child would dig, do it. If not, skip it. And then the family recipe is, and then the family activity, which I think is really fun, is make blueberry muffins. And there's even a recipe on page 18. So because Maine is pretty well known for their wild blueberries, we're making blueberry muffins, which again, really, really neat. So I don't have to put all this together. All the fun activities, all the ideas are already here. The literature has been pulled out. I'm loving it. So let's look, page 18. I'm guessing page 18 of this book. So let's quickly flip there to see our recipe. Sure enough, in the very back of Unit 1, we have the family activity, blueberry muffins, all the ingredients, the directions, and a picture. How cool is that? So that is lesson 1 of Unit 1. Just to get an idea, let's go ahead and finish Maine out here. So now we're on lesson 2, a song and story of Maine. We have the talking about the song here. You can go here to Notgrass and listen to the song, which I think is really nice too. That way you get the tune of it, words to the song. And now we are going to be talking about someone from that area. And so for this one, it is Mary on Boone Island. And we have a little story about Mary. We have a few pages here, and then we're at the activity. So you can see where this is not going to take very long at all. I think 15 minutes is you're getting it covered in that time. I think your student could probably read this in 15 minutes. Now let's look at the activities for lesson 2. Complete the map activities for Maine in the Atlas workbook, page 5. So let's go back to that. I don't know if you noticed that, but there was something here on this right side. So this is also for Maine, and they will be completing this. And you can see there's all sorts of little activities. Look at the state flag, bird, and tree of Maine pictured on this page. So they've done all of that. All that information's already there for them. Color Maine orange on the map on pages 2 and 3. Now that I haven't showed you yet because it's right here on the cover page. So on day 2, where they have finished the Maine, they're gonna color Maine orange. So this will all get colored by the end, which I think is really, really cool too. Next, they're gonna color the star that marks Augusta, this capital of Maine, in yellow. So right here, they're going to color that yellow. Draw waves in the Atlantic Ocean. Almost half of Maine's potatoes become French fries. Color the potatoes brown. So they just go through here and they do all the activities on this second page. So there's 2 activity pages in the Atlas workbook for both of your lessons for that. Our next prompt is we could read chapter 2 of Rabbit Hill. Next, now that you have read what it was like for Mary to visit her grandparents on Boone Island many years ago, think about what it's like when you visit your grandparents. What do you eat? What do you play? How is the place? So here is that creative writing. So you could really do quite a few subjects in one with this. And that is something that I did see in here. Let's go back really quickly. Here we go. It says our 50 states is much more than geography. You can also use this curriculum as a part of your history, literature, creative writing, music, art, and handwriting practice. So I thought that was really neat that you could tie in so much with this. And again, I'm loving the little activities. So let's go back to where we were with the creative writing. And that would be the end there. So they would do the creative writing or they could not. It's up to you. And now we're done with Maine. So chapters 1 and 2 were from Maine. Chapters 3 and 4 will be with New Hampshire. Very similar setup throughout the whole thing. You can see we have a few pages and we have the activities. Let's go like back here a little bit and just see what it might look like. We have Mississippi. Is this number 1? Yes. Okay, so we're starting unit number 11, the South, Mississippi and Arkansas. So lesson 41 is Mississippi. We have a few pages here and we have our activities. So here we're going to illustrate the geographic term for Mississippi in our workbook. So let's go back to that. Look really quickly. Page 44. So our geographic term is going to be a delta. So we're seeing a picture of a delta, and then we have a delta that we can color and decorate however we want. It says if you're using the lesson review, answer the questions for Mississippi. So we go to page 11. We come to Mississippi. We have 5 questions. It looks like all of these have 5 questions to do. Next, if you are reading the literature, we are on the last apple in the soft rain. Let's look at the literature guide super fast to see. So jumping over here to the literature guide again, and we run and we can see that we have soft rain here. Talks about that, things you might want to know that are in this book. And then our last activity for Mississippi is a hands-on idea. Pretend that you are a dog trainer on Cat Island during World War II. So those are some really neat different ideas. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up so we can see we have our song and story of Mississippi. Here's our song. There's the track number. Hopefully that's not glaring too much for you. That we can find on the website. The story about the lighthouse. Then we come over here to the activity. Complete the map activities for Mississippi. We're back in our Atlas workbook where we have all the images again, 9 different little activities that they can color and label, including the map in the front. Then we have, if we're doing our creative writing notebooks, write a description of the lighthouse as pictured on the opposite page. Include descriptions of the plans and sky, or pretend that you are a lighthouse keeper during a storm. We read a really neat lighthouse book the other day, so that would have been really cool to tie in with this, and I may get that book again whenever we get to this section. So I just think I like, one, how colorful it is. I like the easy activities that are included. I like that it is all laid out for me and that it has some little activities in here. Now, being that we are pretty big readers, I'm also very glad that there is literature involved. And I think some of the literature is going to overlap with our history, which is awesome. So for instance, the cabin faced west, I know that is in our history curriculum. So I will want to time this with that. That way we're reading that kind of at the same time. That's why I don't know that we will necessarily finish this in 1 year, because I would like to keep it lined up with my history a little bit. But I'm pretty excited to use it. I think it will work really, really well for us this year. But I will keep you updated. So if you have any questions or comments, put them down below. I will do my best to answer them. And again, I will update you as we use this, but I did want to give a flip through. So if you are like me and you're looking for a geography curriculum, but you don't want to have to put all the fun stuff together yourself, I think this might be it. I think it is going to be really good for us this year. So again, thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and consider hitting that subscribe button. See you next time. Bye.